can I have another wine?
You're listening to the Giggle Gang podcast.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
If you want it, just come get it.
A Giggle Gang podcast.
Just be myself.
For fuck's sake.
You know, sometimes people pay me to say ridiculous shit, and sometimes I just say it for free.
That's hectic.
You're listening to the Giggle Gang podcast.
It's okay to stay at a bar doing stand-up till like midnight, 1 a.m, go to sleep, have like 7 hours, wake up and go to work, do you know what I mean? Rather than waking up at fucking 6, 5 and being like, walking into the world falling in on your shoulders every day. It's like...
What do you mean the world's falling in?
Well, it was like I walk into work every day at Royal Mail and there's always a new emergency. And I'm just like, Jesus man, I'm a postman, you know what I mean? Like, deal with it. People asking me shit on the street, can you find this? No, I can't. Leave me alone. Like, oh man, have you got a parcel in there for number 87? And it's like, how many times? How many parcels do you think I get in a day, lady? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that's how we're doing. Yeah.
I've started recording and I'm not going to stop. So that fucking rant about being a postie is definitely staying in. What's the best thing about being a postie?
Listening to podcasts for 6 hours a day.
Really?
Just getting paid for it. Like,
do you listen to this podcast?
I do actually.
Really?
I listen to the Avaldis one when I've been walking around, which has been my favourite one so far. I love
really?
Avaldis. Yeah, I love Avaldis.
Interesting.
His little like monologue about the Lithuanian education system was amazing. Because like I've been listening to like a podcast about the Soviet Union, and it sounds a lot like the Soviet prison system, but just like less tattoos.
You're obsessed with the Soviet Union, aren't you?
I love it. Not because I love the Soviet Union as a thing. I think it was a horrific institution, but like it just fascinates me. Like human existence under strange circumstances fascinate me. Like the fact that Russian spies were getting caught in America because they they couldn't grasp the concept of a mortgage because everyone just had a house, and it's like not saying that these houses were amazing, but the fact that like you get to Americans like, what? So what are you saying? The state just doesn't give you a house and they're just like straight back to Russia with you. Do you know what I mean? And that like fascinates me. Just the idea of queuing for 3 hours for a turnip. Do you know what I mean? That is shit.
You need to go into more detail about the Soviet Union, because my understanding of the Soviet Union, right, is it an organisation that still operates?
Technically no. I mean, there's a place called Abkhazia. I think it's on like near the Black Sea. That's still technically a Soviet state, but that's about it.
Okay. But explain to me the history of the Soviet Union, because I feel like you're the person to ask, and you're not Russian, so I'm not going to offend you. You're just a guy from like the north of England who fucking loves the Soviet Union and combat pants.
Love it, mate. But basically, right. From my very, very limited understanding, the Russia has a revolution in 1917. Lenin comes to power, and then there's revolutions kicking off all over Eastern Europe and further afield, and like the old communist project is worldwide. And then one after another, the Soviet Union like annexes these countries either by force or by like assimilation. And then
and what were they trying to assimilate to? What were the Soviet Union's values?
Communism. Okay. So like they try and break down the idea of like organised religion, the idea of like the workers owning the means of production, so like factories and shit, which sounds fantastic, but I don't know, it just didn't ever really seem to come off for me. And I live and sort of hang out with a lot of people who are quite lenient on the Soviet Union, and I'm just kind of like, come on guys, like there was trade unions in Poland in the 80s that were like kicking off for better working conditions, and the Soviets just rolled them with tanks, and it's just like, you're not really sorting out the workers if you're rolling them with tanks when they're asking for, I don't know, an hour lunch break. Do you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck's your problem? But like, Soviet Union shakes his fist. But like, yeah, so that's basically it really. It's mainly just a sort of like Euro-Asian project spanning from like Russia to, I think, the east of Germany. And then it all collapsed in, I think, 1989, left a big power vacuum, then all the KGB guys set up businesses and became this awful, like, entrenched capitalist robber baron state that you see today with Putin at its head. And it's just like, sad times.
Is it fair to say that the Soviet Union may have morphed what we now know as the European Union?
Oh God, that's very specialist. I don't know. I think so, because if you look at a lot of like the politicians and the rich like billionaire types in a lot of these countries like Latvia, Lithuania, Russia.
Is Latvia and Lithuania well off?
Well, no, but I mean like the people. There's like a cabal of people in a lot of these countries who control a lot of the like the capital and a lot of the politics, who are like ex-KGB people who like, because when the Soviet Union fell, they tried to like hold on to power. Like I've just finished reading a book about Vladimir Putin's life, and like he has one of the many qualities that I respect in people. Like he's one of the most utterly ruthless men I've ever known.
I was just about to say he's a ruthless murderer, and you really respect him for it.
No, I respect ruthlessness in isolation.
Ruthlessness to achieve a goal.
Yeah. Like I don't get me wrong. Respect and admire in my mind are completely different. Do you know what I mean? I'm just kind of like, I respect the ruthlessness to go from just a very sort of low-key government official in Soviet Union to like basically running one of the biggest states in the world with an iron fist for 20 years. Like, I've got to respect that. I don't admire it.
Has he been there for 20 years?
Around about 20 years, I think. It might be, because I think he came to power around about 2000, 2001-ish.
Okay.
And,
So we're fast approaching the 20-year anniversary of the big Putin. So that's basically like my entire lifetime, because I've not known any other leader in Russia other than Vladimir Putin. But what is their electoral system like? Like, Australia had 7 prime ministers in 4 years. So how has Vladimir Putin lasted so long?
Well, just through like gerrymandering the political system, because I mean, you had Boris Yeltsin was like the first leader after the collapse, I think, and then basically, I mean, it's the same, you know, it's technically a democracy, but they have a similar system to France where they have like a president and a prime minister.
Okay.
And so like,
what's Putin?
Putin is the president at the moment, and the prime minister is, oh God, what's his name?
A doormat that just gets walked all over.
Basically, yeah, he's basically a puppet. I can't remember his name. I think it's Mendeyev or something.
Okay.
Mendeyev or something like that. And like, yeah, you should read the book. It's it's called The New Tsar, and it's such a good read. But yeah, Russia and the Soviet Union in general are just a fascinating period of history.
So, have you got any desire? Have you been to Russia, or do you want to?
I really want to go.
Okay. Would you live there?
Would I live there? No.
Okay.
I think
you'd fit in, like, with your look.
Yeah. Like a lot of people say I look Eastern European, but like, or Israeli, which is a weird one. But I mean, don't get me wrong.
The Israeli bloke from Tilsley.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, because like a lot of like immigrants to Israel in its inception were like Russians who were escaping, Russian Jews who were escaping pogroms and shit. So I can get where they're coming from, but like, take a breath, Breeze. So like, I would like to live in Russia. I'd really want to live in Latvia at some point. There's a few places I want to at least see, because I like Eastern Europe. I think as a general people, the Eastern Europeans, I have nothing but respect and admiration. Like, they're fantastic people.
I've got quite a positive interaction that I'd like to share that I had with a Latvian man on a beach in Thailand, actually. The beach, this was where, you remember the Monkey Island story that I used to tell, where the monkeys like stole my stuff and I had to go and like fight them to get it back? Basically, me and this Latvian bloke was sitting on a beach, and he was in like our tour bus, and he made the bus stop so he could go into a convenience store and pick up 2 bottles of rum, right? No mixer, just 2 bottles of rum.
My God.
Okay. Then he's on the bus drinking rum, just being Latvian, right? We get there, and like, I was with him and his missus and this other bird, and they were just being boring as all hell, right? So I was like, I can't be dealing with this. So I just went up to the Latvian bloke and I was like, are you from Russia? Which is obviously like a great way to start, just because like the way he sounded. Just
never say that to anyone from Eastern Europe.
Yeah, and he was like, no, I am from Latvia. And I was like, okay, fair enough. I was like, can I have some rum? He's like, of course, open your bottle. I was like, all right. So me and him are just drinking rum on the beach, and he's telling me about how he got to Thailand. And he goes, I get very nervous when I fly. So in the airport, this man said, would you like some acid? And I was like, yes. So he was in an airport. He took acid and then got on a plane for like 11 hours to get to Thailand. And he was like, it was a great plane trip.
No, that'd be my worst nightmare. Big tube in the sky, you can't get out, you're tripping. That's the worst thing ever.
Imagine being anxious about flying and your answer is to have some acid.
That's the last thing you should do if you're anxious about anything. Don't do that.
So from that point on, we became great friends, and we found out that he was actually staying, like, so we were in this, like, hotel bungalow type situation with our own, like, private beach and everything, and he was just in another one of the bungalows, so he was actually staying where we were, but not in the same, like, area. It was quite a large area. So I saw him in a hammock, and I was like, oh, Latvia. And then there was a beach party that night, but it was the saddest resort hotel you've ever been to, because it was me, the Latvian guy, and a professional graffiti artist that had been drawing a mural at the resort, right? And a DJ, and that was it. And he's like playing like techno trance music, and the three of us are just so drunk. I had to be carried back to my room by two cleaners. Like, legitimately, I woke up, there was sand in my mouth, right? Because I'd fallen like face first into the ground. Wow. It was one of those kind of nights. And anyway, he added me on Facebook after that, and then about 5 months ago, he messaged me going, I'm going to Egypt, would you like to come? I was like, I don't think I've spoken to you in almost 12 months.
Oh, what a gangster, mate. The thing is, like, that's what I love about when travelling though, is that, like, every now and then, maybe 1% of people that you meet will just pop up randomly. Like, a girl now called Rachel is now working for the Steve Lamacq show.
What's the Steve Lamacq show?
It's a Radio X DJ.
Okay.
And, like, she was like, oh, man, like, how's it been doing? Because she was from Manchester as well, and she was like, listen, like, you know, send us some tracks, see what's going on. And I'm just like, like, I bet you're like in a fucking hotel like 4 years ago. This is brilliant. So big up Rachel if you listen. Probably not.
Good job, Rachel. So what is happening with music? What is going on with the music career? I don't want to bring up anything that's going to stress you out, but I think it's quite exciting.
Oh no, it's not. It's not stressing me out. It's just it is a bit. But it's just right. So basically, we've managed to find a little bit of representation, and I've been booked on some shows that, like, oh, thank you, mate. I've been booked on some shows that are fucking mind-boggling. I mean, shit, we're playing on the same bill as Stereophonics on Sunday.
Really?
Yeah, and like,
what?
Yeah, and then we did our first little mini tour last on the 4th. I think it was from like the 3rd to the 5th of May.
Didn't you have a tour like last year that didn't go so well?
We had a tour last year that didn't happen. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, and that was the start of a massive dip in my mental health. But, yeah, mate, because a promoter I know was trying to book a few shows, and I was like, all right, so if you book those 3, I can book Manchester and Liverpool, and then we can go from there. There's something really caught in my eye. There we go. It is sadness. But yeah, so it gets to like 2 weeks before everything's supposed to be beginning, or like maybe 3 weeks, 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
The tickets have been sold?
For Manchester, yeah, but for the rest of them, we had no idea, because I was just like, just handle it, you know what I mean? And then he got in touch with me and was like, listen, man, I've not been able to sort any of those venues. And I was like, excuse me, fucking what? Do you know what I mean? And he was just like, yeah, I'm sorry, man. And I was just like, okay. And then like looked, and the Liverpool venue shut down.
No way.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, luckily we hadn't sold any tickets because I was slowly but surely losing my mind, and like the rest of the band were just trying to stop me from fucking doing anything silly. And so like it got to the point where it was just like, right, we're fucking it all off, we're playing a Manchester show, then we're having a break. So like that's what ended up happening. So that fell on its arse. But luckily, because I was after maybe quitting when that happened. I was like,
really?
Because I'd been doing it for 10 years. I've been doing it 11 years now, and I'm
with Rivet City, or
yeah. Well, the 2 guitarists we've been in the same band for like 11 years.
Okay.
And I was just like, I'm done. I'm finished with this. I don't want to do this anymore. But then I thought to myself, well, then what do you do? Because I mean,
who are you?
Yeah. Because really, like, I don't have any hobbies. Like, stand-up's my only hobby. I don't have, and even then, like, I want to maybe do something, but I don't have hobbies. I don't see the point in them because I don't really get enjoyment from that many things. And that sounds really sad, and maybe it is, but like,
I don't find enjoyment in all of the things. Is it like you struggle to stop and smell the roses?
Oh, big time, mate. I'm always living like 3 years in the future. Like, you know, I can already see, like, in my mind, I'm already on the 4th day of the 10-day heroin rampage from when we come back from touring fucking Malaysia. Do you know what I mean? Like,
You guys going to go on a heroin rampage?
I think so, maybe. But
Have
like,
you tried heroin?
no.
That's just...
Oh, actually, I did shove an opium suppository up my ass.
Okay.
That was fun. Totally illegal. As in,
We're just going to have a quick pit stop on talking about music. What was the opium suppository?
I don't know. Some French guy gave it to me. He was like, "Oh, do you want to try this?" I was like, "What'd you do?" He was like, "Shove it up your ass." I was like, "I'll do anything once." And it looked like a little it looked like an earplug made out of wax, and I was just like, did it.
What happened?
I mean, not a whole lot, like, for a while. And then, apparently, my housemate, because I don't remember this bit, because I'd had a few beers, but then I came in, and my housemate said that I walked into the kitchen, laughed hysterically, grabbed hold of 2 pieces of vegetarian bacon, and made them walk up and down the table like flippers.
That does sound like fun.
And was just fucking hysterically laughing. So, like, whether that was what it was or whether I was just drunk, I don't know, but I've got to admit, I did feel pretty, like, floaty for a while. It was fun. Probably should be talking about this in the open, but who cares?
No one gives a fuck,
well,
mate.
That's another thing, mate. I'm not bothered anymore. Like,
You don't have to be.
I don't care anymore. Like, this is what I do. I'm a bit of a fuckhead. Leave me alone. Do you know what I mean? Like, as long as I make your company money, why are you bothered? Do you know what I mean? Like, anyway, like,
People love that as well. Like you're real. You're a guy with a skinhead. You're a bit racist.
I'm not racist. I am not a racist.
He just looks like the most
Yeah, I just look
racist
like
person.
one. I understand.
So you've got the representation. Where did you get the representation?
Joe actually went to school with me, and he actually put on our first ever gig in Manchester, and like, we've been working together like for ages and ages, and then he came up to me and was like, "Listen, like, I reckon I can do some good things for you." So like, there's no contract or anything, it's just like mutual helping each other out. I should explain as well, I'm not giving you eye contact just because like it's easier to think when I'm just looking at the table.
No, it's fine, man.
But anyway,
He's not looked me in the eyes once in the last 16 and a half minutes, but I've not mentioned it.
oh, thank you, mate. But yeah,
You look wherever the fuck you want, as long as this interview keeps going. I don't give a fuck what you do, mate.
Thank you, man. Thank you. But yeah, and then it got to the point where we'd release songs people liked, and we've got a following in a couple of cities. Mm-hmm. And so he said to me, "Okay, I've got a plan. I'm not going to say what that plan is, but let's just say the plan is going very well.
Okay.
And we've got new music coming out. We've got a run of shows coming up, and things are actually starting to happen. It just feels nice to have."
Are you making money?
Enough to be self-sufficient. It's actually quite astounding, because you go from being broke to, and I try and define it as like leagues, and it feels like we've just stepped up a league where we can play shows and pay for recording. We not have to put any of our own money in, and pay for recordings, transport, all the logistics side of it, without having to put a hell of a lot, if any, of our own money in. And Jesus, man, most bands never even get to that point. And I'm just like, wow, this is real now. And the next stage is going to be hopefully getting an agent, getting maybe some label support, stuff like that, and just seeing where it goes. But I'll be honest with you, man, it's because I was 25 on the 12th of May, and like, that's only like a week ago. A week today, Jesus.
You're only 25.
Yeah.
You look fucking worn out, mate.
I am worn out. Yeah, I know.
I thought you were at least 38.
Yeah, everyone does. It's alright, as soon as I put a hat on, I like regress in age about 10 years. But and also I've not had a lot of sleep. But we'll leave that. But like, and it's going to be nice to like feel as though, I think, because I spent so long in like the doldrums of just like, how do I get this band onto the next level? And the sad truth is that you either need some serious support or you need some kind of viral sensation. And I am nowhere near pretty enough to go viral. I am nowhere near...
You're unique enough to go viral, though.
True, but I mean... I've just said true to that. Oh my God, I've just said true to that. No, fuck it, yeah. Like,
it's alright. It's alright to back yourself, mate.
I stick by that. We're good at what we do, but
there's no backtracking on this podcast. That's the only rule, alright? If you want to literally slander your own parents, I do not care, but you better not backtrack on it.
Well, the thing is that I think as a band and me as a person, I have things to say, and I think what's nice is that now there seems to be a high watermark of bullshit in music that is now receding. Where there's a lot of real stuff coming out. People are getting into people who make their own stuff again, and rock music is having a resurgence, which is cool. I think that it's okay to be slightly more overtly political in your output. If you listen to Sam Fender at the moment, he's basically the English answer to Bruce Springsteen, and long may it continue. I love Sam Fender. But it just feels nice now to be at that level where people are asking me constantly, when's the next show? When's the next recording? When's the next show? And it feels nice, man. Because, like I said, I don't really have anything else.
Don't you think you deserve this?
Yeah, I do. I do, yeah. I've put the work in. Yeah,
I think you deserve it.
Yeah, we've been grinding it out for years. I've given up money, happy relationships, friendships, holidays, closer relationships with my family. Basically everything, really. Thank you very much. Quick sip for punctuation. But yeah, and yeah, it's getting a bit deep, this, but I can't really. I've never imagined a scenario of me not doing this. There is no plan B, man.
Good.
And because honestly, I look at bands like Elbow that were grinding it out like 15 years before Guy Garvey made it. He was like 29. I'm thinking, okay, I've got a head start on the guy. I started when I was like 14, and fuck yeah, I deserve to do this. I've put in all the requisite work. You know what I mean? I think, yeah.
I think what's important for you and for anyone else that's a creator to measure is don't measure your timeline against somebody else's
definitely
timeline.
not.
So don't look at somebody else. Like, for example, I saw today a bunch of comedians getting upset with Lewis Capaldi, being like, oh, does everyone think that Lewis Capaldi's the first bloke that's invented humour? Like, why does everyone think he's so funny and whatever? And he sings sad songs, right? But he is not funny. He's just a genuine, real person that just basically washes out all the bullshit of every other top 40 artist, gets on there and literally rings people that are like second and third on the radio and goes, you still can't beat me, and just makes fun of them for not beating him on a chart that really doesn't even matter. It's not even decided by the people. It's decided by record labels and radio stations. So to look at him and to look at how quickly he's risen to fame just by being genuine, and then think, oh, woe is me, why aren't I there? And then you look at someone else and you go, oh, but I'm ahead of them. If you spend all this time comparing where you're to everybody else, it really, it doesn't really work for you. Like, the same as you with music, I can't see myself doing anything other than radio. And when I left school, I got a job in the radio and I started doing a criminology and law degree. And I dropped out of that degree before the end of the year because I wanted to go into television and radio. And my parents were like, let's do the law and criminology degree, but then you can have that as a backup and then chase the radio. And then I'm like, well, then I'm 4 years behind doing a degree I don't want to use.
No, nailed it. Completely nailed it. Because I could have got I got an offer in college to go to Cambridge to study English, which would have been completely life-changing, not just for me, but for my entire family. And I said no. And I never forget being sat there in this meeting with this careers advisor, who was actually quite sweet. She was quite a sweet woman. And she was like, why have you not done any of this work to get onto Cambridge? Do you realise that this could completely change your life? And I was like, yeah, but that band might as well. And the reason I went to Manchester Uni was because...
I just got goosebumps, man. Like, look at my fucking legs. That band, and look at it. Look at where you are, man.
Exactly. Like, so I understand completely what you're saying. We've chosen very similar pathways in that you're just like, no, because that puts a grain of failure in your mind. Because let's be honest, to chase any kind of creative outlet to become a career is an act of utter and complete insanity if you look at it without the context of this is what I want to do. Because I think if you give yourself that backup, it's the difference between like the ancient Romans, perfect example, whenever they were going into battle, they would burn down their camp so that if they had retreated and were defeated, they'd have nothing to come back to. So they were just like, if we lose here, we all die. Same difference. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing, is that I've always said if I don't make it, I'm just going to go to Mongolia and become a hermit. I'm not.
But when you say you don't make it, like who did I ask the other day? I can't remember. Oh, it was a guy. So like right now, okay, I'm working in recruitment, okay, and I'm recruiting operations and management staffs into call center environments. So they're high up people. They're on like 50K plus, and they're looking for work. And I was speaking to this guy, and he was like, "I've been out of a job since October," and I literally said to him, I was like, when is it that you're going to be like, I'm stop chasing the roles that I've come from and just take a job? And he's like, that day is coming very, very soon. Like, I need to get some sort of employment as soon as possible, whether he's working at Morrison's or wherever, like just some sort of job, because he's just been searching for so long. And I thought about it, and I was like, when is going to be the day, or is there ever going to be a day where I go, man, I just wasn't cut out for this? And then you just stop. And I can't see it.
It's at the same time, it was a weird thought, because there was a guy who came in to record with... no, he won't hear this. The guy who recorded our first EP, Gaz, there's a guy who came into a studio who was like 60 odd and is still chasing the... Which is, in fairness, is beautiful in a way. But at the same time, there is something quite tragic about this... I don't know why it's tragic in my mind, but I always found it tragic of these guys who have lived like this life of being broke as fuck for like 40 years and then got to 60 and been like, oh, and then it goes from ambition to delusion of like, I'm going to make it, it's going to happen. And obviously you get your C6 Steve, so it's not completely in vain. But I think that is what my fear is. My fear is not failure.
It's delusion?
Yeah, because... The thing is that I know for a fact if I fail in this, I will make sure it is completely and utterly catastrophic. Honestly, I will go down in a big ball of flames, like I can't wait.
Yeah.
But if I do succeed, it's going to be fucking fantastic, and I don't think there's going to be a mid-ground. But... You're
not the sort of guy to fly in the middle.
No. But what I fear is me waking up at 40, which, Christ, is only 15 years away, and going... holy shit, I haven't seen anything or done anything or had a committed and loving relationship or children or any kind of career.
But are those your priorities, or are those just things that people tell you and society tell you that you should do? There's a guy, Jason Allen, that I used to work with in Australia, Irish guy, and he literally had imparted so many good pieces of advice on me. And one thing he said to me, it's the reason why I quit a job that I absolutely hated. He said, look at what 99% of the world are doing and don't do that.
Don't do that, yeah.
Because heaps of them are fucking sad. A lot of guys get locked down in a relationship. They have a child with a girl that they hate, right? They feel like, fuck, I've got a child now. My mum says I've got to marry her. Next thing, I'm married, right? I work hard at a job that I don't like, but I can't leave because I've got to support this wife and this kid. Me and my wife, we fight every night. We sleep in separate bedrooms. It comes to the point where I get so angry. I treat that woman and that child so badly that they leave me. They take half my stuff. I'm left alone again in a job that I hate, and I'm left to just restart my life, all because I felt like I had to.
I see what you're saying, and I mean, it's what I fear, man. It is.
I never want to feel like I have to do something, and that's why I get weird in like traditional jobs now. So like the job I'm in at the moment, I'm in it because they're going to sponsor me to stay in England. So in my head, I'm like, I can't leave this job because it's the only way I can stay here. And every time there's like a challenge, and it's not to say I'm not a resilient person that can work through challenges, but I think because I have to be there, the flaws seem so much more glaring. Because in my job in Australia, it would be like, I don't even have to be here. Right?
Yeah.
I've got enough money that if I hate this, I could just walk out tomorrow. Right? I'd joke with my boss and be like, if you don't like it, fire me. And but they wouldn't, because I was bringing in so much money. I was so good at what I did. So I was afforded that relaxed persona, and it was exactly the same with comedy. I went to the Frog and Bucket, I looked at the lineup, and I thought, I'm going to smoke every one of these people. They've got absolutely nothing on me. And I got far too in my head about it. All I did was want to win. And I got up and got frogged off for the first time.
Damn. damn.
Like, I've never been frogged off. I've won it. I went there on my 3rd gig, made it the full 5 minutes. I didn't even have jokes or punchlines. I was just myself, relaxed, being like, fucking what's up, cunts? And it went fantastically. And as soon as I tried to force it, as soon as I tried to be good, I was bad.
Oh man, it's so true, man. If there's you ever played golf?
Golf?
Yeah.
Oh, like twice, maybe?
Golf is the exact same as comedy. It's insane. Like, because my dad's big into it, and I played it a lot. I was good as a kid. I got scouted for an academy as a kid, which my life could have gone completely different. But
yeah, been the next Tiger Woods.
Yeah, exactly, mate. But like, it's the exact same thing. The harder you try in golf, the shitter you do. It's all about putting in the hours in the range and putting in the hours and putting in the hours. But once you get in that swing, there needs to be nothing going on in your head. All you need to think is, that ball's going to go that way. And then, whoosh, and you've got to be relaxed and loose and calm. And it's the exact same as comedy. And like, golf taught me pretty much everything I know. It's like meditation, man. And like, it's the exact same difference as most things. I mean,
we should have a comedian's golf day. Just write that down. Write that down. Because
we'll
we'll all be dog shit except you.
I mean, in fairness, I'm probably not that great anymore. I can definitely still hit a ball though, but
I don't even know how to swing properly.
I could probably teach you a rudimentary golf swing in a day. It's not that bad. Like, it's okay.
I just want to get pissed and push people over. You know that thing where you like go up behind people and your friend like kneels down behind them and then you push them
Still
over.
the best thing ever.
And hopefully they like snap their neck or something.
You know
crazy.
what I found though? Like, isn't it weird how obviously you're dealing with it as a kid? Kids are so much more robust than adults. If you did that to an adult, they definitely like break an arm.
No. There was a video I watched the other day of like these 2 like girls doing it on a beach in America, and the people were falling onto sand, but it was just funny. Like every time, and the guys were like holding drinks, so they think, oh, these girls have come to talk to us. Next thing, one disappears, she's down behind, bang, he's ass over tit on the floor, and then just like laugh in these guys' faces. They're like, you thought we were gonna talk to you? You just hit the deck like a bitch.
Oh man, that is such justice.
Oh, it's so funny. And these guys are just like getting all grabby and touchy, and they'll just be like, boop, straight over.
I hate that. Don't get me wrong. You know, everyone has done things pissed that they regret. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like being a little bit weird with women. You know what I mean? I mean, Christ, I think every bloke, if he searches his soul, has got at least one moment where he went, that wasn't okay. Do you know what I mean? So it's justice, that. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit of justice, just like, there's your karma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they will never forget that lesson. You know what I mean? And I think every man in his life needs a woman to teach him a lesson.
Now, to be fair, some of the guys they pushed over didn't do anything wrong.
Listen, mate.
But it was still funny.
It's a good spread.
Yeah, it's a good spread. They might not have done something wrong that day.
Every war has collateral damage. That's all it is.
But that's what I want to do to people, you know.
Yeah.
Like, imagine seeing Phil Sutton just go arse over tit. You're kneeling behind him. I give him a good shove and oi.
I mean, Phil Sutton did go arse over tit last night. I didn't send you a text of a picture of his nose.
Why? What's happened?
I think he's like broke his nose. He fell over last night.
Doing
Pissed
what?
out of his head.
He's not supposed to drink. He's not allowed to. It's only weed for him. That's what the doctor ordered.
Mate, honestly, just get him to... He messaged me this morning. I was just like, but Phil, what are you doing? Like, and then now he's there just like, oh no. It's like, oh, you silly goose. What a strange tale. But yeah, there's not really any... I don't know any other context apart from that. What were we talking about?
We were talking about how the lessons that golf's taught you in life, and if you get in your own head about things, then you're never really going to do well.
Man, yeah, perfect example. The last show of the tour, and I don't think anyone will mind me saying that I was way too in my head for it. 'Cause, that tour, I went a bit too mad because I got giddy and also not been in the best place stress-wise, and I basically was just getting wasted for 3 days, like every day, on some Motley Crue shit. And because my ego is just ridiculous, do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I'm on tour, therefore, like, I'm Motley Crue now. Do you know what I mean? And like, considering that I'm usually the person like getting my shit together, and having to have the band look after me, I was just so shameful, man. It definitely taught me a lesson.
I've seen you go so up and down. Like when I talk to you, sometimes you're like, man, life is in order. I got this plan, this plan, this plan. And then I speak to you 2 months later, you're like, my life is in bits. Like, it's just like, you are literally the ultimate yo-yo of a person.
No, man, it's a problem. It is a problem that I'm trying to sort out, because it's one thing I've noticed recently is that I think a lot of the times, especially like, man,
you want some of this?
No, I'm all right. I'm
Okay.
just. I think it's just a thinking thing. I just need to touch something when I'm thinking, not myself. Yeah, I think what it is that I go through periods of being like, oh, I'm going to help everyone. It's going to be great. And usually I'm happiest when I'm like buying my friends gifts and helping them out and stuff. And then like,
I was going to ask, like, who do you want to help? Like, just your friends, or you want to help like homeless people?
just
Like,
people, yeah, just people, man. I just like people. And then when I can't do that, or when it's like a switch goes out of my head where suddenly I'm going, help me, and then like just slide down into oblivion. But the thing is that what I think what I've come to the realization of recently is that people have helped me, but I've just like thrown their assistance onto the floor because I'm too busy fucking getting fucked up to try to realize. And
because of your own ego, like
Oh,
you don't want to
fucking-
be seen as someone that needs to be helped.
yeah, because I mean, I went through a massive period of a good 5 or 6 years. Pretty much when I hit maturity, when around 18, whenever I'd be wasted, I'd just get mega fucked up,
Yeah.
and then just like talk at length about things to do with my life that would make me very, very unhappy. And then
Who would you talk to?
random people.
Okay.
Because they had no judgment and I'd never see them again, so fuck you. Do you know what I mean? And that
So
was it.
you'd talk to them about things that made you unhappy.
Yeah, and like just in smoking gardens and shit. And I mean, 8 times out of 10, they'd actually be very, very good. But then it was a 2 out of 10, they'd be like, who is this man? And I'm just like,
You're that guy in a smoking area.
yeah. And then I realised that no, maybe you should be doing this with people who know you and love you and actually want to help. But then when I did that, combined with my, how best do I describe it? My complete fucking impulsiveness. Like, but it's weird, man. I've got a strong morality, but as soon as like, I don't know, I throw it away so easily. I'm just like, fuck it, this is gonna feel good, and then obviously it does for 3 seconds, and then you're just like, oh my god, what have I done? And it's just realizing that, you know, most of my life has been spent at some point just sitting being like, why is no one helping me? It's like, well mate, they're trying to, but you've got to want the help, you know, and actually do something with the help. Because the amount of times that people have helped me and then I've come up to them, fucking lose my mind, and they've been like, look man, like, you gotta do this on your own, because we can only give you the advice, you've got to fucking act upon it.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I know what I need to do.
There's a comedian that you and I both know who shall not be named, but the same sort of situation where he was at a point where we were trying to give him everything to try and help him, try and pull him out of where he was, and it's just like, it was just like talking to a blank wall, and you were very patient with it because I think you saw some of the similar
I saw me
qualities.
and him, I know you talk.
But I was just struggling. I was like, why won't you listen to me? Just live your life how I live mine. Like,
But I mean, because then again though, I think it's because we both of us deal with different problems the same way with this lad. Is that like, because the thing with my problem is that I'm very much like, I can be, if I want to be, very rigid and structured and disciplined, but I think it works in a cycle of like, it's like being on my fucking period, mate. Like every like 2 months, 3 months, I'll just want to burn it all to the ground just because I can.
you're like a kid that makes a sandcastle and looks at it and goes, fuck, that looks awesome. How much better would it look? Well, how much better would it be just to smash it to pieces?
And like,
You're not kicking other people's sandcastles down the way.
kicking your own, man, but it's the fact that, as well, guys, this is quite intimate, fuck it, like,
It's just me and you here, man.
yeah, I know, but I'm just,
No one else is listening, it's just us.
I just fear just becoming this stereotype of like, the tortured artist, do you know what I mean? Because I mean,
Yeah.
I make fucking good art, I know that I do, but it's the fact that, I'm just sick of fucking up. It's like, I'm 25 years old. Like, it's cool being a bit fucked up and a bit off the rails when you're like 18 to 21. But when you're in your mid-20s, people start being like, dude, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? And like,
Do you feel like you could be fucked up, right, and no one would care if you weren't asking for their help? So imagine if you were just a self-sufficient fuck up. Do you feel like that could work?
yeah.
Okay, so the problem comes where you're not a self-sufficient fuck up and things go south and you cry out for help and it just happened. It's like the boy who cried wolf. And it gets to the point where people are like, there's nothing I can do for you, Breezy. Like,
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, my mates have been very supportive. I think I'm painting it in a slightly worse light than I intend. Like, people are always there. I go, you alright, man? But it's the fact that, like, the shit that I need to do needs to come from me. And I say it to people all the time, like, it's like with addiction. You've got to want to quit. Do you know what I mean? And that's where I'm at the moment, where I'm just like, I need to fucking give up booze, man. I just need to do it. Like, it makes my life miserable. But
alcohol's terrible, man.
It is, but it's the fact that, like, I want to go to sleep. Seriously, I made a statement on Facebook ages ago, and loads of people reacted to it quite concernedly, which is fair enough, and concernedly, not a word. But
what was the status?
It was just, if I could be unconscious between every gig, and then just be woken up from some kind of, like, even that, and just be woken up for gigs, and then go to sleep again, that would be fantastic. Like, because I don't care about anything else. I don't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love my mates. I don't mean it like that. I just mean, and in fairness, I do love the world. But you see the dichotomy that's going on in my head all the time. Like, it's very strange.
So where do you find true happiness? Just on stage? Or is the creation part of it? Or even on stage, it's not quite? Because then you've got to think about what happens afterwards.
That was a very loud silence.
That I filled in with more questions.
Yeah. I'm glad you did, because that would have been very dark.
Expert interviewer over here, man. I've been doing this for almost 8 years. I'm a fucking pro.
If I'm being honest with you, mate, the creation, just hanging out with my bros, man. Those 4 guys are my fucking bros, and just sitting in the practice room bullshitting, and like being on stage is great, you know what I mean? But it's all the bullshit in between. But that being said, it's why I like comedy. Yeah. Same thing, like we've got, you know what I mean? You've got your comedy bros, like whether that be people like Molly and Scarlett or you and Phil Sutton, you know, and like, and Dan and Valdas and Erica, and the list goes on. I just like feeling like I've got a little family, and like, it's like my friend Bunty basically just gave me the best birthday I could have ever wished for. Just came over with like a cake that she was like, I bought it because it reminded me of exactly what you're into. She was like, it's just functional. It was just a vanilla sponge with jam. She was like, she was like, just be a cake. And I'm like, yeah, that's fantastic. And then brought me like a 6-pack of Vimto, and it's by far the best birthday I've ever had, ever. And like, I was kind of like, because you know what, that's what I'm missing. Like, in my head, I just want people to do nice shit for me just cause. Because I do it for other people all the time. And like, because I like doing it. And I'm not saying I have expectation, but like, I think that's where it comes from, is that like, I'm definitely addicted to like stimulus. You know what I mean? Of like people going, don't worry, you're all right. Do you know what I mean? Which is why I like being on stage, because it's a room full of people going, yes, you're okay. You know what I mean? And I'm fully aware that is a very self-defeating like method of getting happiness, because I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't really give a fuck about anything else. I really don't. Like, I like to read, but like
I sort of get what you mean in regards to like going through life. Like, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of details. Like, what I eat doesn't really matter to me. As long as I'm not hungry, the actual stuff that goes in me, I don't really need to think about. And I don't really want to think about. So Hazel's trying to get me to plan meals at the moment, right? And we've planned our meals for the week. And she's like, what do you want? And I was like, what do you want? She's like, well, I want this, this, and this. Is that okay? I'm like, absolutely fine. Like, it just doesn't matter. So there's certain things, there's certain people that I'm not bothered if I don't ever see them again, right? But if I do see them, I don't dislike them. Yeah. I'm not going to be antisocial, or it's not like I've got any problem with them at all or anything. But it's like, if I didn't see you again, my life doesn't change. I still keep doing what I'm doing.
Oh yeah. Like, I'm completely in agreement. I mean, because I love cooking, I really do. But I mean, I cooked like a sauce yesterday that has been able to keep me for like 4 meals going. I don't care if I had to eat the same thing every day, as long as it tasted good. I won't give a fuck.
I do eat mostly a rigid thing. The only thing that changes is the dinner that Hazel makes in the evening, but the breakfast and lunch I make for myself. It's just, why break a winning formula?
Yeah, of course.
I'm not hungry, and every time I eat it, I go, this is all right.
Yeah. You done good again. You know what I mean?
Pat myself on the back. Good job, man. Sure.
Yeah, and that's what I like about music and stand-up is just like the rigidity of it, of just wake up, go play the show. Honestly, that 3 days of tour were 3 of the happiest days of my life. And again, like, you see the dichotomy between me being mega fucked up all the time because I was sad, but also being like, this is the best. Do you know what I mean? Which is like what I don't understand. And like, I've tried to go the therapy route, didn't like it. So like, I'm just kind of like, all right, you're doing this on your own, man. You know what I mean?
So do you think for you the key is to be able to find happiness or pull yourself out of a place of sadness or disappointment or whatever the emotion is without the assistance of others?
Yeah, because I think like I often feel very ashamed that I don't feel I can do it on my own. And
I really don't think anyone can do it on their own in a way. Like with certain things, like obviously you know me, right? I have quite a high level of self-confidence, a high outward ego type. And again, there's certain things where I just come home and I'm like, I just want to cuddle. I just want to sit and just have a cuddle. I had a cry the other day just before my birthday because it just made me feel sad that none of my mates were here. Like, and I've got this new group of mates. At Binary Bar last week, everyone came down. They roasted me. It was such a wonderful night. And I was like, I do have another family and another group of friends here. But then I was like looking and I was like, I got a few messages from like my close friends in Australia, but it's like most people are just forgotten. And I've forgotten about them. I'm not wishing them a happy birthday. You know? There's 4 mates in Australia whose birthdays I remember and will do something for. Then there's my family, and that's it. And I had a huge group of friends, and it's all just sort of dropped off as life continues on. And it's sad, but it's interesting, and it's fucking life. You can't change it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I'm gonna go back and be like, hey, wanna be my friend again? Like, you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean, man. Because a thought that makes me sound bitter, but I don't mean it in a bitter way. It's like, hey man, they ain't calling you either. Honestly, if you always keep that in your mind, I give someone 3 chances, me. Just like, I pop up to you one time, hey, how's it going? Oh yeah, not spot you in ages. Second time, oh, do you want to go for a beer? Third time, oh yeah, how you doing? Fourth time was like, all right, you can call me now. And if, you know what I mean?
For some people, it's very awkward to contact. Like, I had this girl, right, that I know in Australia who was very good friends with me at school. She's now very good friends with my sister, okay? And she had said to me, she was like, if you had initiated and kept up the friendship, she never messages anybody to hang out because the anxiety of the rejection is too much for her. She doesn't want to put anyone out. She doesn't want to be like, oh, what are you doing on Saturday? Like, in case they're busy. And then, like, she has to feel like, oh, they've got something else on. Like, they don't want to hang out with me, so she just doesn't do it, right? She's at the point now where she's 24. She said to my sister, I don't think I'm ever going to find a boyfriend. She's never had a relationship at 24 because she doesn't ever show anyone or go for anyone or chase anyone or put out any vibe that says come to me, for fear of interrupting other people's days or just being rejected. Just not actually.
See, that's one thing that I've never had a problem with, is fear of rejection. Because like I've always had it in my head. It's just like, fuck man, 90% of the time you swing a bat, you're gonna miss.
Yeah,
don't matter.
Absolutely.
Like most of the women now who are my friends have been, I took a swing and a miss.
Yeah.
And then you just went, it's fine though. Let's just hang out.
Let's just hang out.
Like, doesn't mean that doesn't, you know what I mean? Because I think that's what a lot of people seem to miss, dudes especially. It's just like, man, just because a chick doesn't want to sleep with you
doesn't mean she can't be a mate.
Yeah, well, and also, like, you clearly went for this woman for more than just, well, I hope you do if you're an actual good person. Like, you went for this woman for more than just, oh, you've got a pretty face. It was like, oh, you're an interesting woman, yada yada.
Yeah.
And that's what freaks me out, man. It's just like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to just turn that rejection into something cool in anything, whether that be work, friends, relationships, whatever the fuck. And I don't know, man.
But if you think about it, right, the fear of rejection, how do you think that impacts other aspects of that person's life?
Yeah.
So if you think about going for a university degree or going for a college course that maybe you didn't get the right grades for, right? Or you were just a bit off, you're just on the line, right? If you don't give yourself the self-worth to think that you're good enough to take the risk, you might miss out on an opportunity to do something. Getting up on stage to do stand-up, you know, going for a job interview, whatever it is. If you get in your own head about getting rejected, how are you ever going to get ahead? Where does the risk come in? Because you're not allowing a variable to take place.
And that's why, I don't know, I think that's why your childhood comes into it massively though.
Mm.
Because I mean, like, I don't make it much of a secret that like when I was a kid, I definitely felt that kind of rejection a lot. Like people just being like, "You're a bit weird." But I think that sets you up for not giving a fuck when you get older.
Do you still talk to your parents?
Yeah, I've got a good relationship with my dad now. We used to have major beef.
Okay.
But I feel quite bad about it. I don't talk to my mum enough. Okay. My parents is a very long story, but like we don't have a very typical relationship. Like it's weird because there's warmth there, but there's also like I don't know. The amount of time and energy that people took into growing relationships with their parents, I always found utterly confusing. Like,
because your parents didn't develop a relationship with you, or they just sort of said you just do whatever you like. Where was the disconnect?
I don't know, and I don't want to try and define it because I don't want to cause them any offence. Because like they did an absolutely outstanding job of raising me.
Well, you're still here.
Yeah,
that's good. I mean, the one rule of having a baby is not to kill it. Oh Jesus! I've just kicked a drink bottle over.
They did a fantastic job of raising me. Like, they were good parents, but like I don't know. Some point along the line, I was just kind of like.
Were you a rebellious kid?
Privately
rebellious. Explain that.
As in, fuck it, he's not going to listen to this anyway, but I'm going to forget. It all started when I was about 12 or 13 and I got my butt in the band for the first time and I was just sat there plucking away on the guitar in my room. My dad walked in and quite fucking abruptly just went, dude, like, you're not going to make a living on that guitar. And that just ignited the fuck you that has plagued me for the rest of my life.
Really?
Yeah, mate. Like that's my go-to reaction to everything. It's like, well, fuck you then. And then that was it. And then I was off, like rage, like I've never known. Because at the same time, you're going through puberty. Women were rejecting me left and right. Like people taking the piss out of me. Like a lot of my friends, I felt as though didn't actually just want me around. They just kind of tolerated me. Like one of the saddest days of my life was finding out via my mate's mum and dad that everyone was going to the fucking Trafford Centre. That piece of shit. But it was all there was to do when you were like 13 until 12.
Yeah.
And then me running down to the bus stop and just seeing my four mates just looking at me on the bus as it drove away, and I was just kind of like, why didn't you invite me? And that genuinely was one of the saddest days of my life. Because shit used to happen all the time. And like and then so in that there was like this rage where I was just like, I could have either gone musician or school shooter route. Luckily went musician route. But like, because I had so much fucking hatred from people. Like, it was just like,
everyone.
Yeah, everyone's like, well, fuck you then. But the thing is that it's very easy if you've got a modicum of intelligence, and a lot more people do it than they make out. To be able to it's very easy to wear the mask, mate. It's so fucking easy. People are so malleable, and like, especially when they're younger, and like. It got to the point where I looked at him and I was just like, all right, old man, we'll fucking see. And then...
See, I had a similar situation where my dad was like, you don't want to get into radio, there's no career in radio, get the law degree and then you can do that as a backup. And he said, when it doesn't work out, you can go back to law.
Yeah, the when is the bit that kills you.
So I was like, right, we'll see. And then when I started making money out of radio, still my grandparents were like, oh, when are you going to get a real job? I was like, I have a real job. This is a real job. And then when I was leaving to England, my dad dropped me off at the airport and I had all these fucking massive plans when I came to the UK. Not all of them have come off, but some of them has. The silver lining is I found Hazel, and that's the real fucking win.
Yeah, man.
But when he dropped me off at the airport, we're just sitting in the car park and he's like, I'm very proud of you. Like, you've done well. And I was like, thanks, Dad. You know, I'm going to go and work for the BBC. That was what I had in my head. I haven't worked for the BBC, but the intention was there. I've come over here, comedy nights, podcast, YouTube, you know, had a small run on radio here for the time being, did what I needed to do, showed that I could come to a new city and sort of do it all again. And then we'll just go back home and continue on. But it was that sort of thing. And now my parents have got to the point. I think there was one time where I just went mad and I was like, oh, Mum, I'm going to move to America. And I was almost like asking her to be like, you know, tell me not to or whatever. And I was like, oh, and she was like, okay. And I was like, don't you have an opinion? And she's like, Matthew, I learned a long time ago that it doesn't matter what I tell you to do, because you'll ask me a question and then you'll just do whatever the fuck you were going to do anyway.
Yeah, see, my folks were very much had the same kind of conversation with me, but like, in fairness, like I had it. I feel quite sorry for my folks that I said it like this.
Yeah.
But I remember like my dad saying to me like, your mum's quite disappointed, and I was like, to be honest with you, I don't really care. I've never cared. Like, I've never cared. I haven't, mate. And like, because I'll never forget my mum sitting, this is getting really deep, but my mum sitting me down, because I used to look like shit, in fairness. Like, I had long bleached blonde hair that had brown roots. I looked horrific.
I can't imagine you with it.
Yeah, it was awful, mate. Like, I had like dirty baggy jeans on, band t-shirt covered in shit. Like, I used to look like a hobo. And I remember my mum being like, I'll be honest with you, man, like, I remember my mum saying, your dad's a bit embarrassed. Like,
are you the only child?
Nah, I've got a sister 10 years younger.
Okay.
Gotta admit, like, she's had a much, I think, easier time of it than I did. But I understand that all they were trying to do was try and make it so I wasn't picked on. Get it? But in my mind, I was like, it's gonna happen anyway, so I might as well do me and apologise for fuck all. I'll take the lumps. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of mad shit happened to me, like, growing up, and like, but that always stuck with me. Just like, your dad's a bit embarrassed. And I was like, is he now? It's like, hold on, mate, I've just fucking smashed out my GCSEs. What do you want from me? And then I'd get home, I'd like show him my GCSE results, and he was like, oh, we was expecting a few more A's and B's. I was like, fuck you, man. Like, what do you want? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm in college, leave me the fuck alone. And it was just always felt like we're proud of you was always followed by the but. And it was kind of like, oh, well, fuck that. And that's why it got to the point where I was just like, I wash my hands of this. I still love them to bits, still my parents. And if they listen to this, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, deal with it. You know what I mean? But like,
no backtracking.
Yeah.
I can't believe that 30 minutes ago I said if you want to trash your mum, you can. And you've got to the point where I've interviewed you back around to just fucking be like, fuck you, please, mum.
no, like, let's have it right though. I mean, I do have massive amounts of admiration for both my parents. Like,
being a parent's hard, mate.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I'm talking about here is that I'm talking more about the inner workings of my psychology rather than saying
and how it formed.
Yeah, rather than saying, Mum, Dad, you're the reason for all my problems. Not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I've driven the car straight into the sun myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's all about choices. You know what I mean? But like, so yeah, it got to the point where rejection I didn't really care anymore. And like, I think what gets me more, the thing I get most anxious about is inconveniencing people. I don't want to be an inconvenience, and I don't want people to shame makes me rage. Like, if I feel ashamed, I get angry. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel shamed quite a lot. You know what I mean? And that's a massive part of it. Is I think though that's why people get into performing in general, is because like, you'll know as well as I do, when you're on stage, no one can ask you any weird questions or like question what you're doing or like, you know, make you feel bad because you're just up there and it's fine. And like, let's be honest, I think you might be the same as me, where in like a party situation, the best seat in the house is just sat in the corner with a couple of mates having a beer, just watching it go on, watching people have a good time.
I used to like to be the life of the party.
Same.
And then I sort of realised that it's almost a thankless task, and depends on what the party is. So if it's a party with all of my friends, then I'll be the life of the party because everyone knows me and like, you know, that's what we're going with. But if it's a party, let's say I went to a party with you and your mates, I wouldn't want to be the life of the party there because it's just energy. And again, I don't like the energy that I output to be that centre of attention. Is it really worth the payoff, and are these people actually going to appreciate it?
Well, yeah, and it's the fact that as well, do you ever get this weird little anxiety thing in your head where you go around to see people, and I don't know whether normal people just have massive breaks in their conversation, but I'll be chatting and then there'll be a massive break and I'm like, are you waiting for me to talk here? Like, I
don't really get anxiety. Like, I sort of get it, but I don't really get it.
Yeah, I don't think I get it in the classic sense. I think maybe I'm using it as a pejorative term, but
if there's a break in silence, consciously I don't think, oh no, is he waiting for me to talk, whatever. If there's a break in the conversation and I feel like I've got something more to say, I will. Otherwise, if they're at my house, I've got no problems, and I have done before, people being here And I'm like, okay, time to go now. And I just walk them to the door.
Really?
That's
That's a power move.
if that's the end of it. And sometimes, like, if I'm being playful, I'll say it jokingly, but I 100% mean it. I'll be like, okay, get the fuck out of my house. Like, and that's the end of it.
No, I understand, man. People take liberties. Like, what are you doing?
You know.
Man, after house parties, like, because we used to have some insane house parties, and there's still people at our house at like 10 p.m. on a Sunday. I'm like, you have homes, go to them. Go, leave now. I want to make pancakes. You know, I want to.
And there's not enough batter for all of us.
Yeah. It's like, I want to do the hoovering, and you're doing your 25th balloon on the floor. Like, get out, leave. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
Well, last question for you, because we've done over an hour.
Jesus.
What is your favourite drug? What's the one? If you could only
Laughter.
if you could only take one substance for the rest.
If I can only
life.
take one drug for the rest of my life, Christ. You know what? Genuinely, just a nice. I don't know. That's a hard one. To be honest with you, because I used to get medication for anxiety that was basically just opiates. Opiates are great, but that's why you shouldn't take them.
Yeah.
Opiates are that good that you shouldn't have them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably say opiates, which
Okay.
this is going to be horrific in 10 years' time. If only we would have known.
As long as you can make me one promise before we go.
Yeah.
Don't inject anything in yourself.
I'm not going to do that.
That's another level. No matter how fucked up you get, no injecting. Because needles are just dangerous. Needles scare me. Like, I got a Hep C injection when I was 11 and I fainted and pissed on a woman. Like, not like in the same thing. So I like fell on this girl and then I pissed my pants and then like a bit of the piss went on this other 11-year-old.
That's so...
Actually, I could have been younger. I might have been 10. Still doesn't make it any better, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, like, just needles scare me in general.
Needles.
And then needles to do with drugs is obviously very scary.
Yeah, fuck that. Like,
So-
keep them veins a flowing.
That's right, mate. That's right. That is a perfect way to end that. Keep them veins a flowing. Shout out your band and your boys for me.
Yeah, we're Rivet City. It's a Rivet City band on Twitter, Rivet City Official on Instagram. If you just type in Rivet City on Facebook, it'll come up.
For Australian listeners, he's trying to say Rivet City.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. For anyone who actually speaks English. And also, you can find me on Instagram. I think I'm Jake Breeze RC. I think that's what I am.
Yeah.
I can never remember all my socials. I don't think I'm on Twitter because it bores me.
Shout out your bandmates, mate. Give them
Big
praise.
up Dave, aka Roy, the employed boy. He is the man, the myth, the legend that is David Arquette. You got Dean Bean Hemmings. You got Oliver Pomfret, also known as Sirap. And then you've got Johnny Arbor, who we all call The Ham. So, like, don't worry, we're not going to put that on t-shirts or anything. That's just a little internal joke for us all.
I'd love to get a The Ham t-shirt and just a picture of a fatty vagina on the front. That's fucking merch right there, boy. Right, thanks so much, Breezy.
Thank you, mate.
Stay windy.
Stay